Hey everybody, welcome back to Heart Fun. So, in this segment of episodes called The Table, I'm going to be sitting at the table and interviewing some candidates from different parties in the election. Just because I'm not old enough to vote doesn't mean I can't get involved, right? In this episode, I'm going to be interviewing Alice McKim. She is a candidate for the Liberals for the upcoming New Brunswick elections. Hey Alice, welcome to the table.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Could you tell me a little bit about the party you're running for and what it stands for?
Absolutely. First, thank you for hosting here at the
Thank
table.
you so much for coming.
This is what I was most excited about, to be interviewed by a young person, so thank you. So I am running with the Liberal Party. They chose me to be their candidate for the Harbour riding, so like Uptown, South End, Lower West, and parties change over time, and they put out these plans. But for me, the most important thing, and I showed you this earlier, and I just can't help but show it again. But I've been saying that liberals kind of lead with their heart, and what that kind of means to me is so there's this gap between people who are super rich and people who are not. And it's kind of been doing this for a while, for 50 years it's been doing this. And, some people are okay with that, but others want to kind of start to bring it back.
Yeah.
So I think at the highest level, that's what I like about the Liberal Party. They've also got, some pretty cool ideas, like these tiny nuclear reactors that get buried underground and power whole cities.
Cool.
Super safe. 50,000 jobs for New Brunswick. We can build have you ever heard of Tesla, the electric cars?
Yeah.
They've got those giant gigafactories.
Oh, wow.
So the Liberal Party's talking big. They're like, we could have one of those here and actually build these nuclear reactors and then ship them around the world. We could make a ton of money. Good for the environment. It's not perfect. I like solar. But pretty good and pretty necessary.
I'm not 18 yet, so I can't vote. What can you do to maybe help our generation have a brighter future?
I think that's the biggest question for me. I have 3 daughters, kind of around your age, and I think often about the future. I teach this class at St. John High called World Issues, and we kind of look out at the world and see some of the problems that need to be fixed in order for my generation, your kids, if you ever choose to have them, to have a planet that's you feel good to live on and you're safe and and your food will grow. So when you ask a long-term future question, I care deeply about the climate crisis. I led behind the scenes the Fridays for Future marches uptown. I wrote a letter to Greta Thunberg. She read it. She wrote to me. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so environmental stuff. And I don't know where I would put the voting age. I think you're pretty informed. So, maybe. But I teach these 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds, and they're kind of frustrated because they learn about all these issues, and then I tell them, vote, show that you care, but they're not allowed, even though they're super well informed. So I would like to see young people become more involved, and that can happen in a whole bunch of ways. I mean, you can let them vote, you can give them a seat at the table like this or any table so that their opinion is shared and matters. And so the big thing I'm talking about is poverty in the city. Which is super sad because in that riding, the Harbour riding around St. John High, where I've taught for 20 years, it has the most poverty of any chunk in the whole country, and it's right next door to the richest, which is out in the Rosse area.
Yeah.
And half the kids live below the poverty line, and I see them every day at school. They have great ideas. They have big dreams. They're super great people, as are the people in the riding. I'm going out and meeting them and talking, the authentic people. Some of them have been knocked down before. I've been knocked down before, right? But you get up again.
Yeah.
And I want to see, the people in this neighborhood get some help from government so that they can, get back up again if they're struggling. And that involves kind of changing how the money works. Like we send, not to get too complicated, but like about taxes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people pay taxes. The more you make, the more you pay. And, we spread it out to make sure that people, don't struggle too much, right?
Yeah. So even though I'm not allowed to vote, is there any way you think I could get more involved with politics or helping the community?
Kaiya, I think you're doing one of those things right now.
Yeah.
And it might be the most important one. It's when you take the time to ask questions, of people that might know more about a certain topic. And that's what I've been doing, like as I travel around and talk to people. They're teaching me. Like a teacher is a student, and I've been learning, right? And so you're doing that. You are actively seeking to learn about something that's pretty interesting. I've run into a lot of adults lately that say, I don't do politics. And I get it. People can get frustrated if decade after decade big problems don't get fixed.
Yeah.
But I say to them, well, do you think there's a gap between the rich and the poor? And they say, well, yeah. Like, do you want that gap to shrink? And they say, yeah. So then you care about politics. So now it's all about who do you think is the best political party to do what you want. And so that you'll start to learn that. You'll see, okay, I kind of right now I think this side has the best ideas. You ask more questions, but once you figure it out, and this isn't just politics. It's like if you want your neighborhood to be cleaner, if you want your school to do some cool things that a friend at another school is doing, if you want somewhere else in the world that struggles to not struggle as bad, then you can start to use your voice. Sometimes when an adult makes a call and says, I want to talk to you about this problem in my neighborhood, or they write a letter, super busy people might just not get around to that. And they should, but it happens. But when a young person calls, when a young person writes an email, they're like, oh wow, a young person, they're gonna, and then they take your call and they respond to your messages. So you kind of have a little, I don't know if you want to call it cute power or what, but you can reach out to people and have those conversations. I think it's pretty cool. And do you know Greta Thunberg?
Yes, I do.
Right? And what do you know about her? I'm going to become the interviewer now. What do you know about Greta Thunberg?
Well, I know that her goal is to save the planet.
Just save the planet, like an Avengers level. No big deal.
I have one of her books actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and also at our school we always do this walk to go in the nursing home to get apples from the elderly.
Mm-hmm.
And then me and my friend Sophie, we turned it into a climate walk. So then we made a whole bunch of signs and stuff.
You did that?
Yeah, and we did like quotes from Greta and stuff, and watched one of her videos, and it was really fun.
Did Greta help to inspire you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing about young people getting involved. Once a few young people start to care enough, and then they use their fancy words and emails and whatever, then other people will follow.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh my goodness, that person isn't much older than me, and look what she's doing, I want to help. So it's got this like snowball effect. And that's why there are millions of kids around the world. They're going on strike from school, like one day a week. I'm a teacher, and I think that's a super great idea because we need to get the attention of those that are hurting the world, and have them really look into the eyes of a young person, and decide. Because we adults, we look at you and we do see the future. It's like this time warp, And so we look, we look at people as old as your dad, and we think, what an old guy, But we look at you, and it's like, oh yeah, it's really important what the world looks like in 20 years, in 40 years.
Yeah.
And then it hits the heart. So a young person can get involved by asking questions, putting their voice out there, and then bringing others with them to solve whatever problems are important to you in the world. And I think you're doing that already. I've been impressed with the work you've done for a long time. So it's my honor to be here.
Thank you so much, Alice, for coming to the table. And I'll talk to you next time.
I hope so.
Or good luck. Good luck.
Thank you for that too. This was a true honor. Thank you, Kaiya.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned as much as I did at the table. So if you can vote, please do. And if you're not old enough, like I'm not, make sure to still get engaged and ask lots of questions. Have a loving day!